Good afternoon and welcome to the premiere of Sex, Brains and Money. I'm Nikki Thomas and I have a quick little riddle. What term refers to both my favorite piece of jewelry and one of my favorite sexual activities? The answer after we come back. Welcome back from that very brief short break. And of course the answer is pearl necklace. So here I am today doing the first show of Sex, Brains and Money, and I want to talk a little bit about how it all came to be. Back in January, I was invited to speak on a show called Legal Talk, which was produced by the wonderful David Grossman and hosted by a man named Stuart Weinstein. And we had a lot of fun, and it was a lot of really good banter going back and forth. And afterwards, I got a chance to get to know the production team over here at All Talk TV, and they told me something that I had suspected for quite some time, which was that I looked pretty good on television, and that I would probably be a pretty good host for a TV show. So we started talking about the types of things that I would want to do if I had the chance. And I thought about three of my favorite things, which are sex, brains, and money. So after David and I had talked for a couple of weeks, I had a very important question that I had to ask him. David, do I have to wear pants for this show? And we talked about it for a little while, and he said, you know what, we can just get you set up with a desk and you can sit behind it, and then that way you can decide for yourself whether or not you want to wear pants. And that led me to start thinking about an interesting logical question about Schrodinger's cat, which is something developed by a physicist that refers to a cat that would be placed inside a box, bombarded with radioactive particles, and nobody knows whether or not the cat is alive or dead until they open the box. So, in this case, we can say that this is Ms. Schrodinger's pants, because none of you watching at home know whether or not I'm wearing pants or not until I stand up at the end of the show and show you. So that means you have to stick around and watch the whole thing if you ever want to find out the answer. But in the meantime, you can pretend that I'm either wearing pants or not wearing pants, and both possibilities are absolutely true. Anyways, now I want to talk a little bit about the goals for the show and the reason that I wanted to get this going. And the three main themes of the show, of course, are sex, brains, and money. And those are three things that everybody has to some degree, but everybody wants more of at the same time. So we're going to talk about sex. And we're not just going to talk about, 50 sex tips from Cosmo or any of that nonsense. I'm going to be bringing on guests who are pushing for sexual diversity or sexual education or trying to improve people's sex lives in one way or another. And of course, we're going to talk to Terry Jean Bedford today, who has decided to honor me by being my very first guest on this show. So our goal with the sex segment is not just to talk about normal sexual behaviors and stuff, but talk about how we can spread diversity and help people feel more comfortable about their sex lives. The second part, brains. I really love brains, and not in like a zombie bath salts kind of sense or anything else like that, but I really like how the mind works, and I think that the human brain is just such an incredible machine in so many ways, and there are so many amazing things that we can do. So I'm going to be bringing on different guests who are going to be talking about how we use our brains and talking about different psychological phenomena as they appear in day-to-day life. And today our resident brainiac is Leonardo Ferraro, who is a grad student, teacher, and researcher in developmental psychology. And then the last theme, which is money. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try and tell you how to get the most out of your mortgage or tell you, which investments are proper or try and, explain how global bond markets are working or anything like that. I don't have the expertise for that. I'm not even going to pretend to understand it. What I want to do for the money segment is try and highlight people who have come up with interesting ways to either make money or interesting ways to spread money to those who need it. So I'm looking for entrepreneurs who have come up with unique and different ideas, as well as hoping to highlight charities that have found a way to stretch money as far as they can so they can make the most amount of good out of it. And of course, our first guest today is Mandy DeGate, who runs a shop called Idle Hands, a sex toy shop for all your masturbatory needs. So we're going to go to a brief commercial break. It's not going to be more than 2 minutes, so please don't go away. And when we come back, we'll have Terry Jean Bedford on the show to talk about what it's like to be a dominatrix. Thanks for tuning in.